Hey everyone, nice to see the people that are here already, Zachary and Chris. Just You guys might have noticed I didn't do a stream like I normally do on my main channel. I wasn't after the day's events yesterday. I wasn't really in the mood for being funny. But we decided, it's good to get things off your chest, and we're gonna have a little chat about these events. So this might be not as light-hearted as what you're used to from these kind of streams, and we're going to there might be some opinions. Guys, do listen with an open mind. We're always welcome to listen to other people's opinions, and that's why I wanted to do it as a live stream as well, so we could hear what you guys have to say and what your thoughts are on like the recent events and stuff. I've got Andy with me, who you all know. Hi, Andy.
Hello.
And I've got my other friend Russell with me as well.
Your other friend? Have you only got two?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, right. Well, I'm not really a friend. I just pretend to be. So really, you've only got one, unless Russell pretends as well.
It's all right. I get plenty of company
Hey,
from.
I'll take his silence as a yes. So in other words, you haven't got any friends.
Yeah. Well, Madam Palm and her 5 daughters are plenty of company. But yeah, we were going to be a bit more serious today, or try to be. But I suppose if you start
Good
getting.
evening, by the way.
Sorry?
I was just replying, saying good evening, by the way.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Hi, Russell. So, yeah, did I not say hi to Chris? Sorry, I'll quickly say hi to everyone that's come in. Chris, I already said hello to Zachary, Miss Kizzy, Ed Cobb, Queen Bean, Janine, Cleanest Best Coke Can, Pat Kotler, Julia Weingartner, Mitzi Pinks, Denise, Cameron, Cheyenne's Petunias, May 66. I think that's all of you. So, yeah, hi guys. But yeah, so we're going to talk about kind of the events, what happened very near to me. If you're not aware, guys, if you don't follow my main channel, I made a video about it there as well, where yesterday there was another terrorist attack, another very crude terrorist attack using a white van, but this time it was right on my doorstep. So I would say
Shock?
You can say it.
well, I'm kind of torn as to how I should have acted, to be honest. I feel probably mostly today I've been feeling guilt.
Well, we discussed this before, didn't we, Adam? And we kind of came to the conclusion that it's a natural way of feeling. It's not a negative thing on your character. You just, when something like that happens so close to home, you will, unless you're involved with it in some way, physically, you will naturally feel guilty because all them people have been through that tragedy, and you feel totally helpless.
And I was stood on a beach smoking 10 minutes away. I probably should have gone and seen if I could have helped someone, really.
But it's like we said, what realistically could you have done when you got there? I mean, not to demean you in any way, but you're not Steven Seagal, are you?
I could have at least tried, though. But yeah, at the same time, I could have fucked something up somehow as well. So
Well, it's time and place as well, isn't it? You know, if you were there, then you'd have had the opportunity to do something. But given the fact that you were not there, then, you can only sort of say it's all ifs and buts. But
that's where I'm torn, because I could have been there. I could have been there in a matter of minutes.
well, as I say, like Andy said, what would you have done? It's all right helping out sort of first on the scene to, at least try and comfort people and that. But really, if you're talking a van ploughing through people, you're going to talk, talking dismemberment and all sorts of nasty things, which is, requirement for paramedics and surgeons and stuff, let alone, people trying to help,
Yeah, I'm not very good with blood and that stuff either. That's why
I think you've just kind of, answered your own questions there. However, I think, Adam, if you'd have been in the vicinity, you would have done it. It's a different thing to get in the transport and drive all that way, because really, more people arriving at the scene would just create more problems for the authorities.
That is true.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sure I'll dwell on it for now. It's just strange, like, because I followed the London Bridge attacks live because I was listening to Talk Sport when it happened, and I was like, wow, like London Bridge is an area I was very familiar with because when I worked out of Gatwick Airport, I had to go through there a lot. to get the train to Gatwick, and that was crazy. But thinking I'm sitting here in Spain, I'm safe, and then all of a sudden, it's right on my fucking doorstep. Yeah, it's very strange. But one positive, well, maybe not positive. Positive might not be.
You're allowed to say that, Adam.
No. But it's quite funny. I don't know if either of you have seen. Well, maybe that's the wrong terminology. But if either of you have seen the movie Four Lions, and it's about like four bumbling terrorist attackers. Apparently, have you seen it, Russell?
I have, yes.
Do you like it?
I think it is quite a good film, yeah.
But yeah, the day before this happened, apparently there was meant to be a huge bomb in that van, but the bomb maker, while he was making the bomb, blew himself up. So that's almost comedic or karmic comedic justice in a sense. I mean, obviously, it won't bring back innocent people's lives, but...
No, quite, but I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's just wave upon wave of it at the minute. And you've got to ask yourself, you know, what's suddenly causing it? You know, for every action, there's a reaction, if I'm not mistaken, a famous quote. So if that's the reaction, you've got to ask yourself, what's the action that's driving them? Certainly at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's well, I think I said to Andy as well, I think a while ago we were talking, we might have briefly touched on like the London Bridge attacks, and I said, oh, this sort of thing won't happen in Spain because the integration isn't the same.
What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean, Adam.
Okay, for example, like, I might be getting into, this is literally observations, not even an opinion. But this is my observation. In Britain, we have a much more multiracial society than in Spain. It's very...
Especially in London.
Yeah. But in Spain, it's not like that. Like, you don't really see... Well, it's very rare you see people of minorities in the morning going to, like, the business areas in suits and things like that.
Is there... You'll have to forgive me, and I'm sorry to be ignorant for anybody that's listening, but I probably don't keep up with politics as much as I should do, but is there any political reasons why Spain would be targeted, or is it, for instance, we know why France may be susceptible to more, but with Spain, is there any other reason? Because obviously there was the Madrid attacks as well.
Well, the Madrid attacks was nearly... Wait, it's 2017, right? Nearly 13 years ago.
But I think I remember.
I mean, that was a huge, horrible... That's the biggest terrorist attack there ever was, though. That was disgusting.
Andy, can I just ask, Andy, why is it that you'd say that France is more susceptible at this moment in time for terror attacks?
Maybe not now, but as I understand... There was they outlawed the burqa?
Yeah, the schools. There was a lot of things like that. Schools saying that you couldn't.
They were a bit more forward, if that's the way of putting it, with regard to disagreeing with other cultures' ways. For instance, in England, virtually everybody can wear what they want all the time. There's no restrictions. In fact, this is potentially a very controversial thing I'm going to say now, but I don't think we can avoid it. I think some of the minorities in England have more power than the majorities. However, as I understood it, in France, they were very the other way around and say, no, you're not wearing that in this country. And they didn't like that. And I believe that's why they got targeted more. Because if you remember, there was a spate of a number of attacks in France, wasn't there?
That's right. Well, and I think only that wasn't, certainly in the last election, that Marie Le Pen, who I believe is quite far right in thinking and believing, she was quite close in the running, wasn't she? So therefore, she must have had quite a lot of support throughout the most of France. But it's I suppose that could be a driving factor. But yeah, it begs the question: what's Spain done? Or certainly the Catalonia region. And I think there was another terror attack in Finland, if I'm not mistaken, this evening as well, and Germany.
I didn't know about Germany, but yeah, in Finland there was a what they think is a terror attack, but with a knife. So like very fucking disgusting and crude. To come back to what you were saying about France as well, Andy, of course, it culminated with the Charlie Hebdo thing because they wrote a cartoon
That's true.
depicting
I remember that.
Mohammed, and that their offices got attacked after that. So yeah, I'm not really sure why it's. Again, this is only opinions and speculation, guys. We're just trying to sort of stimulate some conversation. We can only say what we observe and we think, and I certainly won't claim to be the most intelligent or knowledgeable man in the world. But
That's for sure.
but I think the reason it's happening more here is because radicalization is spreading. It looks like the suspects in this were Moroccans, and that's not. I mean, that's the biggest kind of Arabic population in, or is it? No, it's African, isn't it? But well, Islamic population in Spain is Moroccan people. So
that's really interesting. I didn't know that. So they're predominantly Muslim communities.
Yes.
And that's got that is the second. Is it like the biggest minority population in Spain then?
I couldn't tell you, but because Spain is in such close proximity to Morocco,
it would make sense geographically, wouldn't it? That's quite interesting.
Just an interesting comment that I've noticed. Sorry to jump in, guys. Q mark in the corner. Are there any elections coming up in Spain? I only ask because there were attacks in the UK and France before elections. That is a very true point. I'm unsure if there are. Is that the case, Ed?
I don't think there's. I mean, there's. To be honest, and I'll say that here on this channel. I don't know if. Well, no, I shouldn't be afraid to say any. My biggest fear when I first heard about the attacks was that it was nationalists uprising. Because they had targeted tourists, and at the moment there's a lot of unrest in Catalonia between like the people who live here and the tourists. And although Catalonia, it wouldn't. It's the richest county state in Spain. But that's because of its tourist trade. Without that, it would. But at the same time, like people are pretty pissed off because every weekend we have a bunch of yobs coming from England puking all over the street and throwing litter everywhere. So in a way, because that would have been much worse, especially for me as being a British immigrant here. I'm like. If like it was the local people rising up against tourists, that would have not been very nice. So, but then I heard it was Islamic motivated, and I believe Emily asked someone come forward to claim the attack, and yes, ISIS are claiming the attacks.
Has that actually happened?
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, Russia Today reported that earlier on.
Sorry, Russia reported it.
Russia Today, the news channel.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay.
Yeah, so when I heard that, I was just like, oh, it's another racially motivated attack. Like, what is going on? Why don't people? I just don't understand how do these people not have a conscience of any kind? I mean, the guy in Finland slashing a fucking baby.
No, but they do, though. The scary thing about it, Adam, is that they believe what they're doing is right, and that's what makes it so scary. They have their interpretation of whatever religious article they are reading. And, if you read a modern translation, I mean, we're going deep into religion and politics, but we can't talk about the subject we are without going into it, can we?
Yeah.
But if you read a modern translation of the Bible, the only reason I'm saying the Bible is because I know more about the Bible than I do any other religious document.
Yeah.
If you read a modern translation of the Bible, there will be a million different interpretations of that Bible. And I'm reading a book now called The Infinite Way by Joel Goldsmith, which is brilliant, and it's what he believes to be the correct interpretation of the Bible, because it's been mistranslated so much over the 100 years that the original teachings have been virtually lost. So if you get someone who's very susceptible to information and new ways of looking at things, you can twist and mold the Quran or whatever into whatever you think it is or may believe to have been told it is, and that's a very dangerous thing. So these people, that they think they're doing good, they think that by doing that work, why is it they shout what they do before they do it? They think that they're doing God's work. And they've obviously lost a human part of themselves to, going to the Manchester thing, to sort of, I think with the Manchester thing, I know we wanted to primarily talk about, the Barcelona things, Adam, but with Manchester, it took it to another level with me because they seem to specifically target children.
Well,
and that's when you're dealing with an enemy that you're dealing with the pure evil. To target innocent people like that, I can't. It brings, I'm almost crying just thinking about it.
Well, but it's the same. It's the same disgusting cowardice with the Barcelona attacks, though. Tourist area, middle of the day. There's bound to be kids around. Fucking, how can anyone be so sick in the head to want to take an innocent life? Whatever they think they're doing it in the name of, there's nothing that gives anyone any power. You must be the most fucked up person in the world if you can't see God. No one knows if he's real or not, and he's probably not. You can't see him. He's not telling you directly to say this.
No. They've created a concept in their mind of what God is, and that is when you make that is.
If there is a God, there's no fucking way he would want what they're doing.
No, not at all. And you can't have. God cannot exist as an object in your consciousness. In other words, and I'm getting too deep here, but the point is, they've created an illusion of what God is, which is when the Ten Commandments were made and they said, "Do not create an idol," or words to that effect. It meant, do not worship a God, as in God is something different than what we are. And these people have done that, and it's a very immature way of existing, and it's something that we need to snap out of very quickly, but I don't know how.
We abolish all religion.
Well, I must admit, I
agree strongly with that. If you took religion and money out of the world, I think it would take a hell of a lot of problems with it on its
Well,
own.
if you take money out of the world, it will end up with communism, which in theory isn't a terrible idea, but it will never work. Well, without money, you would just have to divide everyone, give everyone one house, one car, tell them they can all have one kid. We'd become China 20 years ago.
According to Star Trek, in the future, we don't have any money and society works quite well. There's no wisdom behind those writings,
though. Thing is, though, I can't understand how. It's been said in numerous media outlets that these people that have committed these atrocities, certainly the UK ones I'm talking about, they've all been known to the police prior to it happening and having some involvement with some sort of radicalised preaching or something along those lines,
But the thing
is it?
At the moment it is Islam, and I think to go back to abolishing all religion. Imagine if religion didn't exist whatsoever and these people still did these attacks. They would have no excuse for them. They would just be considered madmen, lunatics.
Yeah, quite. No,
but you can't get rid of religion now, can you?
No, because people needed a book to tell them the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah, it's like, as a species, we need to desperately grow out of this need in a religious phase, because it was there, it served a purpose, because we were at an infant stage where we needed telling what was right and wrong. But the problem is we need to go beyond that now. We need to start learning the truth, and we need to start becoming wiser and realise that there isn't an almighty entity that sits on the clouds and grants some people's wishes and doesn't grant other people's and decides who's going to get killed one day and who's going to get killed the next. It's a very immature way of looking at the universe.
We need to stop the people who are preaching that and trying to emphasise that point across to other generations, you know. There's known hate preachers, certainly in the UK, asking for the killing of all non-believers or non-Muslims or things like that, and they can do it quite freely, and you know, well, it needs to be stopped, you know.
Well, you could draw a parallel to that and Robert Hocker. Russell doesn't know about Robert Hocker, but I suppose to an extent, this guy's allowed to write freely about his rape fantasies and paedophilic fantasies.
Just as a sort of, I think it's a sort of side issue to what we're talking about now, but I think it's relevant to how people get these ideas, these importance, these delusions of grandeur in the mind. It's all related. Do you want to stick a link in the description, Adam, to what you and Robert Hocker's conversation was earlier today?
When that link I sent you, did it work?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't have
my
full.
I'd do it myself, but I can't see because of my very poorly eyesight at the minute.
Hold on, I just got to check it doesn't have my full name in it or anything. Oh, he's replied to me.
Ooh.
Oh,
just
breaking.
For anybody that doesn't know, it's about the creepiest guy in the world video that we did last week. I'm pretty sure everybody now listening knows about this Robert Hocker individual. Adam's been arguing with him all day on messages. It's quite interesting to look at it. Adam lost his cool a couple of times. If he had any to begin with, of course, which is doubtful.
He's put me he's put me a link to the FBI. Wow.
Well, you on the most wanted now?
No, he's basically he's trying to encourage me to tell the FBI about him because he thinks I'll be the one who'll get arrested.
Is this the guy that was calling for you to face the death penalty not so long ago?
Yeah.
Oh, that old chap. Right.
Yeah. It's just we've been having a bit of a back and forth, but I actually reported him to the police today, so I think I'm not even going to bother replying, not for now anyway. So we won't go too deep into that because we were kind of having an enjoyable, quite deep discussion. But yeah, Robert Hocker's always a fun distraction to go into the creepiest psychopath in the world who's ever been allowed internet access.
Interesting study point, though.
Yeah, he definitely is. So yeah, I guess I don't really know how to change the topic back.
There's something I was going to say about. Right, it's gone now. We just need to.
Excellent.
Sorry, that's not the greatest way to keep a stream going, but I had loads of points I wanted to break then, and then we started talking about Robert Hocker, so that's your fault.
It's Robert Hocker's fucking everything up for everyone again. He's been sending those satellites out again. Very nice. Yeah, well...
Well, let's read some of the comments.
Should we go a bit deeper into Robert Hocker? Said no one ever. Ugh. But oh, you mean the comments here? Let's do that. Yeah. Right. I need to scroll up because I think there was quite a lot.
Oh, that was what I wanted to mention. As a sort of slightly related to what we're talking about. Well, it is. And you're a fan of Louis Theroux's documentaries, aren't you, Adam?
Yeah, I love them.
Have you seen them, Russ?
I love them, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the one with the Phelps family?
What's in Michael Phelps?
They're called the Phelps. That's
is it the two little Nazi girls?
No, that's them about the Nazis. So it's they're called the most hated family in America. And there was he did 2 episodes about them called the the Western Baptist Church or the
Westboro Baptist Church.
Yes, that's right. You know which one I mean now.
Yeah, but I thought that related to the two little Nazi girls.
No, that was a different one where he visited the most racist man in America. Who had an agent.
Is this the one where he went in the house and the guys were like, "Are you a Jew?" and he refused to answer the question?
That's correct. Yeah. Yes, that's a different one. That was brilliant. But the Phelps, that family, they picketed soldiers' funerals, didn't they?
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know which one I mean?
Yeah, they were horrible. Wow.
So but the thing is, you had children. They were kind of radicalising these children to picket funerals of dead soldiers. And they were saying it was all because it was part of God's plan, and they were saying what were they saying about gay people? Something like, it was disgusting what they were saying, like, you know, all gay people are sinners, and
that's Wallace has put it down there. The ones that say God hates fags.
Yes, and they had not billboards, but they had boards to say it, and they picketed dead soldiers' funerals, and the families saw it, and they were going like, "Oh, it's all part of God's plan because God's allowed it to happen." And from a very high perspective, everything that happens was meant to happen. There's no mistakes in the universe, but that doesn't give those people the right to fucking start picketing funerals and making people feel bad. And that's where the misinterpretation of, they've got it into their head that just because it's part of the greater plan that they can celebrate it because it was God's work. And that is a ridiculous way of looking at things. I mean, to sort of create misery to those families who have lost someone and are grieving, it's fucking, I just can't, how those families didn't beat those people to death, I don't know.
Yeah, it's obviously gonna cause a lot of hurt to the people.
It's a similar thing, isn't it? Because they have misinterpreted. They are extremist Christians.
They were extremist Christians, but can you compare it to taking an innocent life?
No, but what I'm saying is it's all part of the same thing in that they're not murderers, but it's all twisted interpretations of religious doctrine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's religion is behind all the hate. It's like, it's meant to be, I've always, what people say about, oh, you know, God loves you, all the gods love you, whatever, and they're all meant to be about peace. So why does so much hate come out of religion? What is the point? It's outdated, and it's time to abolish all of it. Personally, that's, I think, the only way we're going to stamp it out. And then when people do, I mean, the thing is, if you could say to people, right, yeah, I get it. You don't want to believe that there's just nothingness after you die. Right, I get that. But the best thing to do is, you know, be excellent to each other, to use a quote from Bill and Ted. And just, there's no way taking an innocent life, whatever race, religion, especially kids, or no, anyone really, though, no one has the right to take someone else's life. And anyone that thinks they do needs to be stopped. But the trouble is, how can you stop people before? I'm getting a bit profound here, but you can't stop people before you do it, because you can't become before they do it, because you can't become the thought police. So something needs to be done, though. Like, some people need to come out and say things and be role models, especially in a time like this. Maybe this is quite strong, but like, while there's being so many attacks that are being done incorrectly in the name of Islam, then people who are like role models who are Islamic, and there's loads of them, and they don't really, you know, they need to come forward and say that's not a true Muslim, and make sure people are aware of that. You know, there's loads of footballers, musicians. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a bit all band-aid way of looking at it, but it's the only kind of solution I can feel like. Well, even not that, though. It needs to be... I've said this to you off air earlier, didn't I, Andy? If I went to a mate's house and he was planning to make a bomb, and he was like, "Oh, don't tell anyone. I'm going to kill in the name of Jefferson Airplane," then I would go, "All right, mate," and then I'd leave his house and I'd go straight to the police and report him. So why is that not happening? Why are people getting to the point where they're even, because this stuff must be planned.
Yeah, but I'm a bit confused by what he's saying. He's saying that you believe that there are lots of people that know that these people are doing what they're doing and are of good conscience and don't do anything about it.
Okay, this might be a bit controversial, perhaps, but the impression I always get is Muslim communities are very close-knit. Like...
Maybe. I don't know enough about them, to be honest, to say that.
Let's say all these guys
correct.
are kind of between 19 and 40, right? Like, they must go to their mums and stuff, and... surely...
Well, you look at it, and like I touched on earlier, you've got these hate preachers and what have you that have sermons where there's over 100 people that attend to hear all these teachings. So surely that's got to be a good place to look to start finding out who's involved and you know who's really pushing the agenda.
Well, I suppose that is an extent that, I mean, people shouldn't be allowed to be shouting hate speech. And I know we're saying, like, oh, you shouldn't be an SJW, but I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to find a balance. Like, if anyone can believe what they want, anyone can believe what they want if they do it peacefully.
In Luton and Jan Chowdhury, again, I mentioned him earlier on, he freely preaches hate, and the plea is not police, but there's just nothing done about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you not think as well, Adam? And do you not think that people are too afraid to speak their mind these days, and that is a problem? Even you, and to myself as well, and all of us, but yourself mainly, Adam. You've been dancing around because you don't want to offend people. You have to go into a deep, and I'm not. This isn't a criticism of you. I've done it. But before you say something, you're going, right, just to let you know, this is my opinion. I'm not here to offend anybody, blah, 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 blah. It's like you've got to give a speech before you say your opinion because you're scared of people jumping on the bandwagon and going, you're sexist, you're racist. Fuck off. You know what I mean? And that's why I like Trump, because listen, people are going to disagree with this, and I get it, and I'm not American, and I don't know it all, and even I'm doing it now, which is ironic. But I like this is how I think it is, this is what I'm going to do. No pussyfooting around, no bullshit, I'm getting it done. And the world needs somebody like that. And you may disagree, but so what?
I don't agree with everything Trump says, but I appreciate to an extent his attitude. But he's not a very intelligent man, in my opinion.
Well, put it this way, he's fucking better than Bush.
Oh, well.
And probably Theresa May's lame attempt at running the country at this moment in time as well.
Yeah, I don't even pay any attention to that. That's why I got away. You guys are fucked.
I wouldn't. It's embarrassing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got to admit, though, we are living in, people are afraid to say virtually anything these days.
No, but the thing is, people take everything so easily out of context or with such a closed mind that if I don't make a little speech in front of it, they go, oh, especially today after everything that's happened, like on my doorstep, I might be a little bit angry and I might be focusing that on one group of people, but at the same time I want people to understand that I know there are people of all religions who are peaceful as well. But there's extremists in all religions who are fucking ridiculous. No one should be killing in the name of anything. And if, I don't know, maybe I'm just a massive pussy or too empathetic or something. I just hate to see anyone inflicted with any kind of pain. Unless it's someone that really deserves it, who's done something bad. But then if they hadn't done that bad thing in the first place, then they wouldn't need to get the painful punishment.
The trouble is, I mean, if you look through history, it's happened time and time again. Obviously, we're getting the backlash with Muslims now affecting Christian countries. But if you take it back further and you're going back to the Christian Crusades, then they effectively did exactly the same thing, if not worse, on a bigger scale further back in the ages, So,
well, we had the IRA in the 80s, and that was just Protestants versus Catholics, wasn't it?
But can you see the link here? It's all religion.
It's all, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Abolish religion.
Absolutely. No, I can agree. I can't argue that point. No, it's one thing that I'll agree with you on that.
My dad is a ardent atheist, and he said to me once, I said to him, I was like, Dad, why are you an atheist? Because I've always been, like, I went to, you know, church as a kid and stuff, but not, like, regularly, like, but with school and occasionally with my parents at Christmas or whatever. And, or, no, never with my dad, sorry, occasionally with my mum at Christmas. My dad never came, he always just went to the pub. And then one day I said to him, Dad, why are you such a strict atheist? And he said, because religion, son, is the cause behind all wars. And I was like, yeah, I get that. And that's, I wouldn't say I'm proper atheist. I'd still like to believe there might be something after this. But it doesn't involve anyone killing anyone while we're here. But still, the more this stuff happens, the more it kind of quashes everyone's belief.
Right. Trouble is it, you know, is there, I know I said obviously it's religious driven, but is there a political action cause, and we're dealing with a religious backlash reaction?
I think,
if you look at the politics and what's going on in the Middle East at the minute and has been over the past couple of decades, is that in retaliation now for all that against the West?
well, it is, to an extent, you could say it's history repeating itself. I suppose it always will until we get rid of religion. I think we've worked out the problem behind the cause behind all of these atrocities and wars and horrors.
So how are you going to go about it then, Ad? This is the intriguing point now.
How am I going to go? I'm not, because I also at the same time believe that people could, if they want to do it, anything they want to do, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, is fine.
Are you going to preach hate against religion?
No. Hate won't solve hate, will it?
No.
Love will solve hate. Have we lost Andy?
No, I'm just messaging someone in the chat.
I can't keep up with the chat and talk. What do you think to that, Andy? Do you think this is like the East rising up against, or the East attacking the West?
I'm not too sure I'm allowed an opinion at the moment. Sorry, what's the question?
The East attacking the West. Do you think, in a way, it could be almost karmic in return for the Crusades?
You can't really. I don't know.
I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm saying, I mean, if you look at the recent, in the last couple of decades, all that's been going on, driven by the Americans, and, you know, I hate to sort of point the finger at anybody, but ultimately they've been leading, or certainly pushing for some sort of war to go on in the Middle East. And they've obviously bombed not only targets, but civilian areas and hospitals, things like that. You've got to ask yourself, I mean, I'm certainly not condoning anything, retaliation, but, you know, how would that make you feel if you're in that position and, you know, these people are coming over and just mass slaughtering you, not necessarily, you know, innocent people, bystanders and things. You know, I have absolutely no connection to the politicians who are pulling the strings.
Yeah, it would be scary, but then you think about all, like, what's going on with Islam at the moment, though. Like, yeah, okay, this has affected me right here, right now, but these people are doing it to, like, peaceful Muslims in Syria. Like, other extremists are killing. I mean, is that more fucked up?
It's all fucked up. But, you know, I think really it's escalated since, what was it, the 78 to 89? Was it the Soviet-Afghan war?
I don't know.
The Americans were obviously arming the Mujahideen and training them and funding them and what have you to fight off the Russians and the insurgents that they obviously sided with for that area of Afghanistan. And once they sort of quelled the danger and made the Russians retreat, they just pulled the funding on the Mujahideen, who then I believe has transpired into forms of Al Qaeda, Al Shabaab, ISIS. You know, you name it, they seem to have been in the mix. But it just all seems to have transpired from that. Certainly, more recently.
Yeah. Will, yeah, I believe didn't the Americans arm Al Qaeda and ISIS? Didn't that all happen before? I'm not sure, but
Sorry.
I'm not here to. I'm just saying. As I said though, it's literally just what I know and my opinion. Sorry, Will in the chat has asked me, do I even understand how ISIS, Al Qaeda were armed in the first place? And I believe it was from.
Will's actually got a point. He's obviously done his research.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
but
I don't think anybody's here has stated that we know everything, have we? It's just
no.
No.
I understand the Americans, maybe even the British, I don't know, funded them at some points and things like that, didn't they? So it's all fucked up because it's greedy political men.
It's just a horrible vicious circle.
The problem is, right, people have got to have an opinion about everything. It really winds me up, and it's like, if you don't have a certain opinion, people will disagree to the point of, obviously, the really extreme forms of violence, but even passive aggressive. I remember once when I was in my local, and it was when the ISIS sort of situation first arose, and he said, "What do you think about ISIS?" And I didn't want to engage in that kind of conversation, and I didn't know enough about that organisation to make a judgment, and I didn't want to stand there and start going, and jump on the hate bandwagon. So I said, "I don't really have an opinion, mate." And he said, "No, what do you think?" And I said, "No, I don't know enough about it." And he went, "No, come on, what do you think about ISIS?" And I said, "Mate, I don't have an opinion." I wasn't being a dickhead. I just said, "I don't know enough about the situation to form one." And he went, "Prick," and walked off.
Trouble is, though, that's because he's believed everything that's immediately fed to him by the sounds of it, that's given you at face value by the media.
Daily Mail reader.
And people only let on to, what they're allowed to tell you. It's all controlled, obviously.
That's true.
Yeah, Zachary's just said Lorne should be our president. That's not a bad shout.
It's probably better than what they've had recently. Well, Obama wasn't. Well, he wasn't brilliant, was he? Clinton, for his sexual misdemeanors, he's probably the best president the USA has had in a long time. And while we're on the subject, should we bring Chris into this call?
Dare I say, go back to JFK on the president front?
Well, it's a bit difficult now, unless they made him a cyborg.
The last great president. Let the Americans comment on that.
Right, I'm going to bring our American mate Chris into the call now, hopefully, if it works.
Good stuff. Somebody might know a bit more about the American political system than we do.
Yeah. Although he's set to away, I'm not sure if he's going to hear it. It's not yet ringing. Well, yeah. Well, that's just.
Ronald Reagan was the best. Ronald Reagan's leading the poll at the minute.
Hey, Chris.
How's it going, buddy? Glad you're safe.
How are you doing?
Yeah, just so you know, you're live on the stream.
I'm aware.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
I can. Your sound's not going to keep cutting out, is it? Say something, Chris.
Looks like we've lost him.
Chris? We might not have our American correspondent.
Oh, no.
Well, we'll just keep going, and if he manages to come back in, that's fine. Obviously, we want his opinion on American presidents, so it's not a good time.
Bernie Sanders. Now, that would be a good shout. I agree.
Yeah.
Obviously, not an American. I have no right in saying that. But from what I can see on the outside, Bernie Sanders would have been a fantastic candidate.
Right. You two continue this dialogue about American presidents while I refill my drink.
Yeah.
Is that Chris's response like 20 minutes later?
Is that better?
Not much
Can you
better.
guys hear me at all?
Yeah, Nat.
You're still breaking up, Chris.
It's because he's got a Mac. I told him that. Right, I'll be right back in a second, guys. Keep it going, Andy. You're the professional.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so can you hear us, Chris? Right, it's not going to work, this, is it? So let's just read some of the comments. I mean, it's been getting quite heavy, this, and unfortunately, there isn't a way to have a conversation like this without delving into politics and religion. And already there's been a bit of, shall we say, drama within the chat.
Interesting to see, actually. I think to see people's opinions, to get an.
Oh, it is. But what pisses me off is you say something, and it may be wrong or whatever. People disagree. Unless you're advocating violence or something like that, people can't let your comment be. They've got to then start getting a bit, tetchy and a bit off the cuff, and people take it personally. When this is a problem, when someone has a different opinion to you, whether it be about politics or even sport or even a movie, people take it personally.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back.
That's
I
it.
apologize. Yeah.
Right, I just got
think I
back.
fixed it.
It's just not going to work, this, is it?
No, Chris, you need to upgrade your equipment. Just throw the Mac out the window and buy yourself a real computer.
No, but how can a Mac affect your internet connection, though?
No, I don't know.
It's not my internet connection.
What is it?
I have no idea. Everything's working fine. It's got to be a mic issue.
Then you need to buy yourself a new microphone.
Well, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
That was good.
Yeah. Is it a lot clearer?
Yeah, it is now. Andy, what were you saying about as I came back in the room? People's opinions.
Too many people. Basically, when people have a difference of opinion, and there's been a little bit of disagreement within the chat, which is healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. When someone has, when I mentioned Trump or whatever it might be in the last chat, people take people's opinions personally, like a personal attack.
But the thing is,
start to get offended, and then start to throw insults at people.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have my opinion, and those change each day.
Was that going on in the chat room?
Something
minor, only a little bit, nothing major.
I didn't follow any of it.
I did.
But my opinion is always open to change. I like listening to other people's opinions too. But my opinion is normally formed fairly flimsily by whatever media I've been drip fed that day.
Yeah, and it's I was watching my local sports team, Go Sport, and all that the other week, and we were getting fucking hammered like we usually do. And there was a guy in front of me who, I can't even remember how we started talking, and he was saying one of our players wasn't pulling his weight. It's a classic argument, and then I went, well, I disagree, and that was the end of it. Now, sometimes you'd have gone, no, you're talking shit, you, and then it could have escalated into a fist fight when you just said, no, I don't agree with you, mate. It's fine, but that's the way it should be. But people go, no, you can't say that. Get a grip.
Yeah, but then
did they not realise that that's the whole problem where these situations arise?
Yeah, but then I think there's a time when people do take it too far. And that's the
We're
thing.
also in the age, guys, where everybody thinks they have a fucking valid opinion about everything.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Okay.
No, you're not special.
Don't entertain that they may be wrong.
And no, your comment's not valid. Now everyone thinks everything they say is valid, and they are special. So now you have to contend with those assholes.
Chris, just out of interest, in your opinion, who's the last greatest US president?
John F. Kennedy.
Good man.
That's
there
what
you
he's
go, man.
Well, yeah, I just said
Reagan was the president.
I personally couldn't answer that because I don't know enough, but
no.
I'll go with Chris's.
Well, no,
Reagan seemed good on paper, but he didn't like the disenfranchised or the poor.
I just said I think the last decent president you've had in the last 2 decades.
Clinton. Maybe?
Yeah, Clinton. Yeah.
Clinton's up there is decent. Yeah, sure, decent.
But
I was in grade school when he was president, and ending in high school. So Bush took over when I graduated.
Saxophone as well. I mean, there's not many presidents that can do that, is there?
No.
Right.
And he's been on The Simpsons, hasn't he? Andy might know that. Or they at least impersonated him.
Sorry, did you say something?
Yeah, I asked you a question.
Sorry. Answer it to the Louvre, for God's sake. Do you want to feel my wrath as well?
No, not if that's what you're calling it now. That's a weird name.
You experienced my wrath before, and if I remember correctly, you enjoyed it.
Oh.
That Aunt Rob.
At least that's what I told you to say.
Yeah, let's not go down memory lane. But
sorry,
I was asking about The Simpsons, and now you've put me off. I was asking you about
Simpsons.
Bill Clinton.
Clintons have been on The Simpsons.
Sorry, what was the question?
Did Bill Clinton guest appear on The Simpsons?
No, did he appeared on The Simpsons
but
as himself, but not. He didn't voice it. They were taking the piss out.
Yeah.
They fucking hated him on The Simpsons.
Can
I just point out, the only way I know about presidents is through watching The Simpsons, because it's such an educational tool for Englishmen like me.
Yeah.
It is. I've learned a lot from The Simpsons. I've gone to pub quizzes with my parents, and they've gone, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "Oh, they said it on The Simpsons."
Oh, they said it on The Simpsons. Yeah.
Tony Blair was on The Simpsons, and I believe he also was in Independence Day as well, but he wasn't. I don't think any ex or current president has ever guessed on The Simpsons as a voice.
Yeah. Well, no, Al Gore.
Yeah,
he was
but
never
he's not president or was never president.
He was vice president.
Okay.
Celebrate good times. Come on.
He was in another episode
AJ
as well.
Reviews.
AJ. Yeah. So, Chris, what are your feelings on the being an American? Maybe you can make a comparison between what's going on over there at the moment in Charlottesville, and I don't know. So we wanted to get an American perspective.
It wasn't a Muslim terrorist attack. It was definitely an attack. I don't know. It was terror. Homegrown terrorism. I don't know. We got our own crap going on in America. I'm highly opinionated about the subject, but like you, Adam, you know, my opinions get me in trouble. So, but
so do mine on current evidence.
I personally made a Facebook post calling it "Chicken Shit Terrorists Attack," and my 2,000 something followers, like 4 people liked it. I made a post about eating Chipotle, watching Netflix, and damn thing keeps getting likes. Something's wrong with the fucking world right now. Personally, I'm angry. I'm mad because, yes, you're right. We did create this shit. We did in the 70s with, you know, funding them. We gave them weapons.
Yeah.
We backed away from them, and they're angry, and they're never gonna fucking stop as long as religion is alive and well in the world. I agree with everything you guys were saying.
In fact, actually, I got a really, like what you were saying about how we created this. Someone put a very good tweet out earlier that I retweeted. I'll just see if I can find it to read it. Yeah, this is how they described the attack. Deluded, narcissistic, misogynistic, psychopath gangsters in Barcelona are as representative of Muslims as KKK are of Christians. Rot in hell. What do you think?
Yeah.
What are
your it's time to stop killing innocent people in the name of something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. You always say that. That's what do you think of my theory?
If it takes us to get angry about it, we need to start getting angry because we're clashing with this political correctness shit, yet we're killing each other. constantly in the name of some stupid bullshit that does not exist. There's no fucking proof of an afterlife or any kind of God.
Well, it's an interesting point you say that, Chris.
In the name of some bullshit that is misinterpreted and written by humans who make fucking mistakes constantly. It's fucking sad. It angers me. It makes me want to cry. It makes me want to punch somebody. It makes me want to do something about it.
Violence
and Adam, like,
it's not
I know
going
how
to be
you
the
felt
answer
when
to
you were
violence.
there.
Yeah.
And I'm a run into the fray kind of guy. Not because I'm a hero, but I don't know how to not react, but in that fashion. It just comes naturally to me. I mean, giving my life for somebody else is the ultimate thing. That's the way you want to go. That's the way you should want to leave this world. Me personally.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying what you did was chicken shit. I'm not saying it was. It wasn't.
It sounds a bit like it.
No, I just understand why you had that moment where you couldn't have done, and even if you ran in there, you might not have done anything. And I'm just saying I could run into the fray too and still be not helpful, but I would still run towards it. That's just me, and it could be a stupid thing to do because I could ditch somebody that I could get to safety because I think I got this convoluted way that I'm going to come in there and save.
Yeah,
save
but
the
what
day,
if
like
you just ran in there and the Mossos de Escuadra thought that you were a terrorist because you just looked like a...
Possible. With my overreacting ass running into there? Sure. Like I said, it's not right, but it could happen. Who knows what you're going to react in that moment? And you reacted the way that you thought you needed to react, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah, I didn't get there. I mean, I got there while apparently someone was being held hostage in a bar, but...
No, when I called you, I could hear that in your voice. And I tried to tell you then that, there's nothing you could do.
No. But yeah, now a 7-year-old kid's missing. Maybe I could have at least gone looking for that kid, but I didn't know about that until today.
Yeah, see, now you're just trying to kill yourself internally with this stuff. Kind of. I'm not saying let it go, but, give yourself allow yourself to feel these emotions, but you're okay. And
I'm fine though.
You didn't do anything wrong. You're feeling real guilty, and I understand that, but you shouldn't.
Well, I guess so. But yeah, the whole violence thing has to stop anyway. It's ridiculous. It's getting out of hand again now. Like, probably until 9/11, which was probably like the biggest terrorist attack in ages, that kind of set a precedent. And now, like the years before that, well, maybe there was only 5 or 10 of them, but that was where probably the world was at its most modernized and there was not many terror attacks and things. I don't know though, because then you think about it. I mean, when was the fucking Lockerbie bombing? That was 1988. I think.
If you look back on 1988, and it's funny you bring it up because I'm doing a retrospective on the 90s, and we have this rose-colored glasses kind of look on the 90s, but it was filled with terrorism. It wasn't as pretty as we think it is. It's only because we see it as, me personally, as a child, I grew up in the 90s. So, I mean, being a teacher, being a history guy, this pattern has always been there. I don't know this peace thing you're talking about. Not my history books. This has been going on since the dawn of time, since we started flinging poo-poo at each other.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. That's how I feel. I could be wrong, but I'm with Andy. I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah, well, it's sometimes a nice trait to have that, but there are...
Oh, I get in trouble all the time because of it.
I don't mind, treading carefully.
If you know who I am, you know it comes from passion. Like, you guys know that it's just the passion and it blows up in a vulgar way. But it's not because I have an anthill with a magnifying glass and just crushing people with my thoughts just to shock you. It's because I genuinely am shaking right now because I'm so upset, to be honest. And I don't care anymore. The older I get, now that I'm a dad, I don't really give a shit what your opinion is. I'm not doing anything to hurt anybody, so I really shouldn't have to apologize for my speech, especially, this might sound cocky, especially when I'm right. Jesus. I'm sorry. That's how I feel.
Oh, I get it. I think especially in times like these, like it's natural to feel angry.
What do you think that maybe we've probably gone as far as we can with this, haven't we?
I think we have. I was just wondering.
Chicken on the end in the fucking downer.
No. Well, I was wondering. I don't know if Chris has
We
listened
were
to
never
it.
going to have a topic like this where it wasn't going to get pretty
Damn.
intense at some point.
Well, Andy, I know you probably want to do something more about it on your channel, but as we've got Chris's here, I don't know if he's listened to it. Do you want to any thoughts on the latest, the final, what we think is the final lawn call with Sam Pendleton?
Well, I'll tell you what we could do. We could do a quick stream on my channel while carry it on to there.
Okay.
Should we do that?
Yeah, man. Just leave all the really down, horrible stuff on my channel.
What I'm also going to do as well on there, I thought we need to have the balance of the force between the dark side and the light. We'll start. Thank you. Yeah, like.
Yeah. Cheers.
We can talk about. We can do some Simpsons stuff as well.
Oh, I love this.
Before we go, just on a lighter note to try and lighten up the conversation and experience I had the other day, had a knock at the door and I had some Jehovah's Witnesses come and try and tell me about how their religion goes and how they see things and all the rest of it. And I said to them, do apologise, I'm just going to stop you short there. Just to let you know, upstairs in my bedroom, I've got a 12-foot purple and green spotted alligator that eats children at night time from their beds. And they said, I beg your pardon. I said, and I repeated the same thing again. They said, well, that's nonsense. I said, that's my sentiments entirely. And then closed the door.
Nice.
So, yes, that was that dealt with. But, yeah, as I say, I'm not one for religion, I must admit. And I agree with you guys. I think it has been quite a big problem and it will continue to do so, throughout the ages. But, yeah, didn't appreciate the call, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just a closing comment for any sort of Christians that are listening. Read The Infinite Way by Joel Goldsmith, which is like a modern, in my opinion, true interpretation of the Bible, which is fucking brilliant. Can be heavy reading at times, but it's really worthwhile. If you can get your head around that book, it can have a real positive influence on your life. That's not too heavy, is it?
no, that's fine.
No.
Right. Well, guys, I'll say thanks for joining me, Russell, Andy, and Chris.
I think we should say thoughts go out to all the families and that have been affected.
Oh, yeah,
Only
of
in
course.
Barcelona instance, Germany, Finland, and everywhere else. I hope I haven't left anywhere else out, but there's been so many, sadly, that it's hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and not only those ones, the ones in the past as well. But yeah, thoughts to you guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, and thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah.
It's been interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I totally agree with your sentiments, Russell. Our thoughts are with anyone who has been affected. So, all right, guys, we will catch you. If you want to come over to Andy's channel for a bit of chat about lawn, I guess, and some other things.
Some Simpsons.
And some Simpsons. Something a bit happier. All right, take it easy, everyone.
See you later, guys.
See ya.